There's a claim on your husband's life insurance from 2019, the agent said. He's sitting right next to me. He won't look up. I stared at the insurance agent across the desk, trying to process what she just said. My husband Greg was very much alive. He was right there beside me in the chair, his hands folded in his lap, his eyes fixed on the carpet like it was the most interesting thing in the world. I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I asked. The agent looked uncomfortable as she shuffled through her papers. In March of 2019, a death certificate was filed for Gregory Turner. A claim was processed and paid out to the listed beneficiary. My heart started pounding. That's impossible. He's sitting right here. We've been married for 12 years. The agent nodded slowly. I can see that, ma'am, which is why this is a very unusual situation. The payout was for $750,000. I turned to look at Greg. He still wouldn't meet my eyes. His jaw was tight and there was sweat beading on his forehead despite the air conditioning. Greg, what is she talking about? He didn't answer. The agent cleared her throat. Mrs. Turner, the beneficiary listed on that policy wasn't you. The room started spinning. Who was it then? She looked at Greg like she was waiting for him to explain. When he didn't, she read from the file. A woman named Bethany Holloway. I'd never heard that name before in my life, but from the way Greg flinched when she said it, he clearly had. Greg, who is Bethany Holloway? He finally looked up at me and his eyes were red. She was someone I knew before we met. Someone you knew well enough to make the beneficiary of a life insurance policy? Someone who collected $750,000 because she thought you were dead? The agent excused herself to give us privacy. The moment the door closed, I turned on him. Start talking right now. Greg buried his face in his hands. It was supposed to be a fresh start. I was in trouble back then. Bad trouble. I owed money to people who don't forgive debts. Bethany helped me fake my death so I could disappear and start over. I felt like I was going to be sick. So when we met in 2020, you were already supposed to be dead? He nodded miserably. I moved across the country, changed everything about myself. Then I met you and I fell in love and I thought I could just leave it all behind. You committed insurance fraud, Greg. That's a federal crime. I know. And this Bethany woman just kept the money? He was quiet for a long moment. We were supposed to split it. I was going to come back for my half once things cooled down. But then I met you and I couldn't go back. I couldn't tell her where I was or she'd have leverage over me. I walked to the window trying to breathe. So for 6 years you've been living as a dead man. Our marriage isn't even legal. I'm so sorry. I thought if enough time passed it would just go away. I laughed bitterly. Insurance companies don't forget about $750,000. Why are we even here today? He swallowed hard. I applied for a new policy last month. When they ran my information, red flags went up everywhere. They found the death certificate. So now what happens? The door opened and the agent came back with two people in suits behind her. They weren't from the insurance company. They introduced themselves as investigators from the fraud division. They had questions for my husband. I watched them escort Greg into a separate room. He looked back at me one last time with tears streaming down his face. I didn't know what to feel. The man I'd built a life with was a stranger. Our entire marriage was founded on a lie so massive I couldn't comprehend it. I sat alone in that office for 3 hours while they interrogated him. When they finally let me see him again, his hands were in cuffs. He was being charged with insurance fraud, identity fraud, and conspiracy. Bethany Holloway had been arrested that morning in another state. She'd given them everything to save herself, including every detail of how Greg had masterminded the scheme. The Greg I knew was a kind man who coached Little League and made pancakes on Sundays. But that man never really existed. He was just a character played by someone desperate enough to fake his own death. The divorce papers were filed from his jail cell. I signed them without hesitation. Our house had to be sold to help pay restitution. Everything we owned was tainted by fraud money I never knew existed. Last month, I got a letter from him asking for forgiveness, asking if I could visit, asking if there was any chance we could start over when he gets out in 8 years. I threw it away without responding. Some lies are too big to forgive. Some people you never really knew at all.